What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Two Agents,
Two
One
Agents,
Pod.
One Pod.
My name is Jason, aka Real Estate Jay, here with my co-host Jessica Yangs.
Yep, that's me. And I am currently physically in Austin, Texas. I actually met Jay in San Diego, which that's where he is dominating the market. Tell them a little bit about your experience.
Been here in San Diego for the past 15 years or so. Been a realtor since 2016. Working with buyers and sellers, up and down markets, mostly residential on my side. Met Jessica, and we actually, what about it was, I put an offer on a property that she was listing, and we ended up becoming really good friends after that transaction. Jessica,
you guys didn't get the listing though. You guys didn't get the sale.
I didn't get the sale because you're no, never mind.
No, it was.
It didn't work out for the sale, but we stayed friends, which was great.
Yes, we stayed friends,
and we banter a bunch back and forth about real estate and about ideas and things that are going on with the market and all the rest of it that goes with real estate.
I figured it was time for us to just have a podcast to keep us accountable every single week. And I'm sure people want to hear more about real estate from agents. I'm surprised there's not enough there's not more agents doing this.
It's also a good way to, I don't know, just come problem solve, and it's a good way to get some issues that you deal with on a daily basis, and put it in front of somebody else to see how they would navigate the issue or how they would respond to a certain problem.
Right.
It's always good to have that interaction with other realtors and stuff like that too. But that's the gist of who we are.
Well, I'll go a little bit into my background too, but Jason and I met in San Diego. I was in San Diego for about 5 years and raised in Orange County, like San Gabriel Valley area. And funny enough, I think that transaction, it was actually my first listing. And it was like multiple offers, we're asking, but my mentor at the time, we didn't really, I think it just didn't really have the best interest for me, or maybe it just sounded like that. So after that transaction, I literally messaged Jason. I was like, Jason, I'm actually new. I'm new. What do I do? And after all that, we just stayed in contact, and it's been really good because he definitely has more experience, more timing in the market. And now I've been in Austin for about 2 to 3 years. But yeah, it's really good to fall back on somebody, just like, dude, what are you doing? How's the market over there? What does San Diego look like? That's our experience.
How is the Austin market right now?
I think there's always going to be sales. There's always going to be a buyer and there's always going to be a seller. But at the end of the day, because in the last 2-3 years, Austin's prices have gone so far up, there's a lot of people that we call them Austinites, people that have lived here forever, basically. They just don't have the salary or the career to maintain the rising house prices. So you're seeing so many people like transplants coming in with, especially Californians or New Yorkers. They're just coming in, swooping in on the real estate, and some people are mad about it. This is just what happens sometimes. A lot of people are angry, but also a lot of people are taking advantage of what's going on. How is it in San Diego right now? Talk about like the multiple offer situation.
Right now, oh my God. The thing about San Diego that fortunately we have in our favor is we have so many people in the country and really around the world that want to live here and reside here. With the weather, with being so close to the beach, having access to the desert. Palm Springs is like 3 hours away. If we wanted to go snowboarding, Big Bear, that's another 3 hours away. We have a beach right on our back door. It's really like the prime place to live if you're into that type of lifestyle where you want to be able to kind of do it all and experience it all within a short amount of time or distance. With San Diego having that accessibility, everybody and their mom wants to live here. it really props up the housing market really well over here because of that. And then on top of that, we do also have military, the military bases over here too. We have Camp Pendleton. We have a military base that's on Coronado Island too, and we have a lot of tech here. Apple just, or was it Apple? I think
Yeah,
Apple
Apple
just
has a new campus.
has a new campus very close by here in San Diego. They just opened up. We have Qualcomm over here. There's a lot of tech. There's a lot of tech in San Diego as well. And then of course we have the colleges as well that a lot of people relocate from all over the country to be able to go to college at SDSU, UCSD. A lot of medical professionals and stuff like that are going to be getting out of school and looking for housing at some point in time.
Yeah.
Between the rental market and the housing market, it's really strong here in San Diego. And when it comes to offers and when it comes to finding homes, it's very competitive.
Even with these 7-8% interest rates, that's still happening out there. It's still so hot.
Oh, the crazy thing is like I'm in a transaction right now where the price point was just over $1 million. It was $1,050,000 was the asking price. We ended up going in at the asking price at $1,050,000, and we had to outbid 4 other offers that were way above that. One at 1.21, one at 1.18, and then 2 of them, which was one of ours, was at 1.17. And because of the terms that we wrote in our contract, they ended up going with us. And we just literally, as I'm having this podcast with you, we literally got the appraisal back, and the appraisal that came back was.
Did it match, or is it less or more?
It's more. It's at 1.19.
Jeez, they're definitely going to want to negotiate that.
They're going in with some equity, the buyers, if they can pull themselves together and negotiate some of the repairs that they're trying to get. I just got a text from the lender. The lender says 1.19, just over 1.19 for that property, which is insane.
I think I was in the San Diego market for about 2 years, and hearing that shouldn't be news to me. But also now that I've been in Austin for about 2-3 years too, the quality of life here and also the prices of the homes is drastically different. The people that I meet here are drastically different. Now that doesn't mean that there are no multiple offers, because I still have a few friends that are in the market, but they're obviously more affluent individuals. Like they're doctors or they're like senior engineers that are able to pay those prices. I'm not saying that there isn't multiple offers. It's just at the same time, there's just not going to be homes less than $700K, like in San Diego, right? So when I hear you say this versus like, oh, it is still an 8% market, and we're doing multiple offers with 1.2 mil, I'm just like, oh, that's something to take into. That's definitely not happening everywhere in the country.
No, and like I said, it kind of goes back to just location of where people need to live, to work close by, and just I think COVID also has had something to do with that, of people wanting to move to better weather, not having to succumb to being an hour away from your job. You live in a state that has a lot of snow in the winter or a lot of rain and the stuff like that. If I can work remotely, why not move to a place that doesn't have a bunch of humidity or sunny 365 days a year? So it definitely makes the draw a little bit higher here in the San Diego market for sure.
I'm still very happy with my move out here. It's just, you're my partner in San Diego. Whatever questions I have about the market, I definitely go to you for that. And I think Austin is just starting to boom. They said that 5-10 years ago, but if I go into downtown versus the size of LA's downtown or New York, drastically different. Just like a small sliver of what's going on. But yeah. I went to downtown yesterday with my parents, just like, because they're visiting from, like I said, San Gabriel Valley. And in the last 2 years, there's about, right now, there's about 4 to 6 cranes in like a 2 mile vicinity. And I'm just like, yeah, they're building those high-rise condos.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're kind of getting into the same issue here in San Diego too. Is we're running out of land, so they're starting everything's building up. I mean, it's very hard to find single family homes that are single story over here now. Everything is 2 to 3 stories at the minimum. Condos right now are 3 stories, where it's a garage, living space, and then bedrooms on top. So you're gonna have to deal with stairs, and then with this aging, with these aging generations and multi generational families that are starting to move in together, because of the prices of homes and stuff like that, like a lot of people are not going to want to move into multi-level properties. So if you're out there and you have a single family home, hang on to it, because it's going to be worth gold one day.
I'm in a 3-story right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get rid of it. Get rid of it while you can.
We will, I think. It's 3 stories for a number of reasons. But after actually being in a 3-story home, and I was able to transact on a 3-story property back in San Diego, but I've never lived in it, right? I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stairs. Like, this is not good. It really shrinks your pool of buyers, right? You can't have senior people, you can't have senior dogs, you can't have babies. Like, the sliver of people that can actually go through 3 stories every single day, pretty small.
Yeah, just wait till you start having kids.
Yeah,
you're not gonna want to have any kind of stair.
yeah,
going up and down the stairs, especially if your kids are on a different level, you're not gonna want to walk down the stairs in the middle of the night, like tending to a crying kid, and then having to go down another flight of stairs to get to your kitchen to warm up some milk or whatever. Like,
that's why I got it now. So because I don't have kids now, but we do have a 13-year-old dog. But she runs like a 5-year-old dog. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of my take on multi-story homes, I guess. I can see that becoming an issue in the future. I mean, even right now, there's still families that are starting to move in together that don't want to have to deal with stairs. So
yeah. No, you make a good point too, and especially now that the market is so expensive, more and more people are moving back home. So like they're saving money on rent, or they're just saving up for the big home purchase. Everybody kind of knows the reason why people are leaving California, because it's freaking expensive. That's one of them. But the taxes, getting to another country, state, especially Texas and Florida, with the no state income tax is really desirable. But let's talk about, you and I spoke about this over the phone. Let's talk about why people are moving back to California.
Why they're moving back to California?
Yeah. You and I spoke about, people actually having to go back, and I think it's like work related or something.
Yeah, I mean, we have Tesla. Is Tesla still here? I don't know.
Tesla is in Austin as well.
I know, but do they still have the Fremont location?
I have no idea.
I don't keep up with that stuff, but I think just in general, I think people are kind of sick of the policies that that we have to deal with here in California, and which is a reason why maybe that was a motivation for you to even relocate out to Texas, to kind of get some, greener pastures or a fresher breath air or something like that. So, that old saying of, birds of a feather flock together. And if you're over here with certain kind of views about certain things politically, or, any of that kind of stuff, then you want to be around people that you can relate to. So, that was probably.
I think you're on mute now. It might be like headphones. You're not even wearing headphones or earphones. Okay, you're back.
Am I back? How long was I talking without?
It was only like 5 seconds. It was very minimal.
Oh,
you said you talked about.
I think what happens is like, the policies, and whether it be like political or whatever, people tend to get sick of that kind of stuff. And, birds of a feather flock together. So it's you want to be around people that believe the same beliefs that you do, and are kind of in line with with the things that you believe. So the great exodus to California probably pushed a lot of people to Texas and to Florida and to other states that are maybe less, regulated in certain things. And, now they understand that, like, even though they were working remotely for a company that was California, now everything's starting to kind of reverse and people are getting required to go back to work. So now
Right.
we're shifting back to
You are muted again. I don't know why.
what I
There,
did.
you're back.
I'm messing with my ear pod, and that's why it's going on mute. So anyway, well, yeah, I mean,
I can kind of go a little bit into why I moved to Austin. And then I also know that, yeah, let me just start with that. I visited Austin once and I saw like there was actually a lot of construction. I had a great time. I went with one of my other girlfriends, which is funny because she actually thought about moving to Austin. And then I ended up coming here. It was just really, I never expected myself to move out of state. It was not on any list, but I think sometimes if the opportunity presents itself, go ahead and take it. Like one of the reasons too is just I saw so many people here that were in their 20s and 30s that I think that was just kind of the group. Like you said something about, birds flocking together. And when I really compared it, San Diego is beautiful, right? It had 70 degrees every single day. You're at the beach. But I think what I was lacking was a sense of community too, because everybody there is, a little bit more wealthier. Also, they're older, right? They took the time to make their money and they're able to live out there. So I just felt if I'm in my 20s right now, like I might as well go ahead, take the jump and just see where I go. But it is way more affordable, right? If you drive 20, 30 minutes outside of downtown, you can find a $300,000, $400,000 home with adequate land and like 3 to 4 bedrooms. So many people are just coming here. They're like, let me just come here in a no state income tax state and go ahead and make my money, see where they want to go afterwards. But I'm surrounded by a lot of tech and startup communities, like 20s, 30s, like this. You have this like very young and vibrant, ambitious group of people, and they're just sick of California's policies. They're just like San Francisco. I was about to say San Francisco because that's a book. Like someone made a book. It's called San Francisco or Sicko, and even just how expensive it is out there. My parents are visiting from back there and they're just telling me like gas is $6-7. It's like here it's like $3. Like when I moved here it was like $2.90. Like I'm still seeing $2.99.
Yeah. It's not just the gas though, for people leaving California. I mean, there's the policies, there's the homeless issue, there's there's so many things. There's the traffic, there's in some parts of California, there's the smog that you have to deal with. So there's some people couldn't continue to deal with all that kind of stuff, and they don't see it getting any better, I think. And I think that's why that's probably a reason to look for other places to live when you have the ability to, and being able to work from remote and doing that sort of thing. It kind of opened that door up for a lot of people, and so I think that's what in the last few years allowed people to be able to do a lot more, moving around and checking out other places, just like you just did, moving to Austin. But I mean, I've never been to Austin or Texas at all. The furthest east I've ever lived was like Arizona. So when it comes to East Coast, that's about as far as I can go and relate to. So, I mean, how would you say, since you've lived in both, how would you say Texas compares to California or even San Diego? Like, if you were to compare like Austin to San Diego, what's good, what's bad, what's the same?
Yeah, and that's like such a hard question to answer too, because you're kind of comparing apples to oranges, right? Texas in itself has its own issues. Like people not being able to get abortions. Like, there's like some really fucked up stuff here where I think if I wanted to, I could go.
I've never known a girl that got pregnant by swallowing. So.
Oh, well, you can avoid it like that too. There's also like really harsh laws about getting divorced out here. Texas is one of those states. And I bring this up because a few of my friends are actually trying to get divorced in Texas. They're like in their 30s or 40s. And they have like it's not just Texas, it's a few other states where you have like a 60 to 90 day period. You have to wait because for some magical reason, maybe the judge thinks you're going to get back together.
Yeah. Like
yeah, it's like a cool off period, but it's, in the situations, if you're getting abused.
I think they have the same thing, but after you get the divorce too. I want to get back to you do the divorce. I think you have like a 60-day like cool off period to be like, oh, maybe we made the wrong decision. So they it's not like 100% until that cool off period happens. Because I've had clients that have gone through that and try to buy a house, and they were like, they couldn't get qualified because they're still in that cool off period, and they would have had to have ran like their ex's credit to qualify for the loan, because they were technically, even though they're technically divorced, like there's a 60-day cool off period or something crazy like that.
Well, that's after, right? You're speaking that your clients had to do it afterwards, where they cool off. In Texas, it's like, from what I've heard and what I know of my friends telling me, they're not divorced until that 60-90 day is over.
In Texas, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about in California. Same thing.
Oh,
I think I thought you were talking about that before. Like, you file the paperwork, but then like you can't file it, or you can't technically start the process 60 to 90 days after you file it, or something.
No, that's exactly kind of what I mean. Like, a judge is going to be like, all right, we're going to review this in about 60 to 90 days, and then we'll make a decision. Versus divorcing and then still having a cool off period.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that was kind of a tangent, but Texas has its own good and bad. There's definitely more greenery out here, which I love. On businesses especially, the rules are less intense. It's a lot more lenient out here. California just has crazy rules. Like, they will tax you 20% on your business or something like that, or like your salary, and it's just, that's your hard-earned money.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people don't take into account, and maybe you can correct me on this, but because Texas is a no income state, for those who own property, they're going to tax you on the property tax to recoup some of that money.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, that's a disadvantage we have here.
Yeah, looking at those properties that are all 30 minutes away from Austin or something, they're like $400,000, but you get like 5 acres and like 5 bedrooms and 3 baths and everything like that. Yeah, the purchase price might be less than the money that you're going to be getting a mortgage on might be less. But then every year your property tax is going to be like triple what you would pay in California, though, right? What is your tax rate out there? Do you know?
No, it's like 2.1. It's like double.
It's like double, yeah.
It's double. But I mean, pick and choose. That is a disadvantage that's a spiel I give people. But at the end of the day, like, if you are your own entrepreneur, you have your own business, these rules do foster a good ecosystem for businesses.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but
less taxes, period, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you're in. Less taxes, period, right?
I mean, I'm also thinking, yeah, there's homes out here, anywhere really, anywhere in the state, wherever you go, there's going to be very affordable homes, and then there's going to be very your upper echelon homes where they're like 5+ million. So I'm just like, that's a lot of taxes. But once you're in that bracket, you don't give a fuck. You're not thinking about taxes at that point.
You're not thinking about taxes. Yeah, you're not thinking about taxes. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So there's that. California, I miss it. The food, right? The food scene is so much better, just because you have so many people living there. But the food in Austin's getting a bit better.
What's the Mexican food like in Texas compared to San Diego? Like, let's be real. Like, tell me.
No,
Not even.
I don't think we
No
are
conversation.
closer. I mean, no, I would say San Diego is only 2 hour drive to Mexico. Austin, where I'm at, is about a 5 hour drive. But still, like the food, just I can't compare it. Okay, to give you an outlook on what the food scene is like. If you were to open up a restaurant here that was like 2 to 3 stars back in San Diego, people here would actually think that's like a 4.5 restaurant, like because they
Yeah.
don't know any better. Like, and then if you look on Yelp, all of these restaurants have tons of reviews. It's because they can't go anywhere else.
Oh man, you know, it reminds me of that time when I was like, like college, and I'd be traveling a lot around the world, and just, I lived in like Mexico, I lived in Arizona, like all over California, and you meet girls that they think they're like the hottest piece of meat out there or whatever in these like small towns, and then you're like, yo, back in California, you'd be like a 3, so they'd be like a 7 or an 8 in a small town, and then you compare them to what the
I
average
mean,
would be in California, and then they're just like they just blend in with everything else. So it's like, I don't know, maybe it's a little
right.
different.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like that goes back to context. Like because you have seen like more of just one small city, like they don't know any better. Like
You
these
don't know,
restaurants,
yeah, you don't know what you
yeah,
don't know. So
you don't know. You don't like my parents. I took
with
them to like
what
a
the limited amount of supply and quality you're given, then they're just gonna like base it off of those 5 Mexican restaurants versus,
right.
shoot, we have 5 Mexican restaurants on like in a block here in San Diego. So
Right. No, I took my parents to this Chinese restaurant, and it's good because I've been trying to get my parents acquainted a little bit more. This is their second time in Austin, but the first time they came together, there was like a huge storm for like 3 or 4 days, so we were just locked in. They hated it. They're like, I hate it here. Like I can't do anything. I'm like, no, you guys just had bad luck. I'm gonna pull up the restaurant that I went to. Okay, this is a 4 star restaurant. And when I took my parents, I told them, they're like, "What? Like this is 4 stars?" Like they were baffled, right? And it's just because back in California, there's just so many options and diverse ethnicities.
yeah, I don't know. It's you've been wanting me to go out to Texas, but there hasn't been too many like positive things for me to want to
I mean, just
go out.
try it, come out. It's not for everybody, definitely. People, the summer was about the highest, like I saw in the car, was reading the temperature like 115 in the car. And the summer was brutal.
Yeah, you know what's hot here in San Diego? Hot here is like
85.
90, and we like are blasting, and then cold is like 65. So then we're in our sweaters. So
No,
I would say
temperature makes a big
I would say
difference.
people in San Diego as a whole are pretty weak when it comes to changes in weather, because we have such a the temperature and the weather is always pretty
You guys are
pretty.
weak. You guys are fragile.
Yeah, there's people are weak around here. I will definitely agree with that. Not me personally, but I'm just saying as a whole in San Diego. And then
Yeah.
if it ever rains in San Diego, you better forget it. You might as well just stay inside, because people don't know how to drive. All the businesses are shut down.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Nobody wants to go out. San Diego people melt when
That's
when it starts raining. It's like, they're like, it's like when you get clay too wet, it crumbles into a little blob. Like that's what happens
I
in San
mean,
Diego.
this is harsher conditions, so I'm building character out here.
Well, 115 degrees, you got to build something, because, bro, that's just way too hot, regardless of where you're at in the country. 115.
No, I remember. So I picked up tennis, but I remember a couple days where I'm hitting outside at 100 degrees, like 99-degree weather. I'm like, I don't know how I'm surviving, but people are doing that out there, so it's possible. So I don't know. You guys are fragile.
The only time I've ever experienced that kind of weather was either in Vegas, when I'm at a pool party, or in Havasu and I'm in the water in the lake. So you got to be in the water to be able to survive. Do you guys have lakes out there? This might sound
Yeah.
completely just being
Yeah,
naive of
you're like, I don't
Austin.
even know what's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, I don't even know what's out there, what's close to you, or what. So
No, there is water, and that's one of the reasons why I moved out here. Just being near being at San Diego, because there was so much water, and I found the water out here. When you go to Dallas and Houston, I think Houston has like a little bit of water, but outside of Austin, you don't get the same hills, the rolling hills. You don't really get like the Colorado River actually goes through Austin. That's
mhm.
nice. Like there's literally a dam where I'm living like 10 minutes away, but it's drying up pretty bad. I think they're sending out notices. We're like in stage 3 water. I don't know,
Conservation.
conservation stage 3.
You know that California is like 100% completely out of their drought now. The whole state. Yeah. After this last winter, where there was like
Oh,
much snow in the Sierras and everything. It's already starting to snow like up in the Sierras already. So we're like getting tapped.
right.
We're filling that up like real quick. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but then, they'll come up with another reason to try to tax us for something. So
Hopefully that changes out here too. But let's talk about the freaking interest rates. They're 8 now. I sound like a little. They're
really?
8. I mean, it's 8 if you have like a pretty good credit score and you make adequate money. Like,
So this is like 8% for a 30-year conventional loan.
yeah. And but
So
you have to
like
be
a decent credit,
a good citizen to get that 8%.
and that like that's a credit score above what 740 or something like that.
I think 720. But
720.
we're not lenders, so.
Yeah. Interest rates suck. It puts a lot of people out of the market because of that. Because it's just, I mean, if you were to compare it to how it was 4 or 5 years ago when their interest rates were half of what they are right now, it just basically doubles your payment. So, for people that were looking at a condo and their monthly payment would have been $2,500 just because the interest rate's going to be over $5,000, with everything else on top of it all. So, yeah, not ideal for a lot of first-time home buyers. With this transaction that I'm in right now, the other buyers that were going after this property were all very qualified, like millions of dollars in the bank. They were putting like 40% down, and this is like multiple offers. It's just my clients, fortunately, were in that group of people that had like extra cash. They were putting a big down payment down, putting like 40% down, but we weren't the only ones. There was like 4 other offers that were just as strong as we were.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm seeing in the market is it's like kind of the cream of the crop out there. Like people that have to buy houses, that can buy houses right now, are the ones that are very, very strong. They're not the 3% down, the 5% down, even the 10% down. Like those buyers right now are really struggling to be able to find income housing because as a seller, you're gonna see all these offers, and somebody's putting 10% down, somebody's asking for closing costs to be covered, and there's just buyers that are way more qualified than they are, putting more money down. They're not asking for any kind of discounts on their rate from the seller. They're not doing any of that kind of stuff. So, of course, you're gonna weed through those offers and just get the top maybe 4 or 5,
right?
And those buyers are really strong. They can pretty much get whatever they want.
Right.
But unfortunately, with the inventory the way it is, it makes that competition a little bit more tough as well, just because there's not that many houses to choose from.
Right. Anything can go. Powell tomorrow they could drop rates like 1% or 2. Obviously, that's not going to happen. The probability of that happening isn't. But what is probably what's going to happen and what is happening now is just less buyers in the market. People that are buying, you said, are cream crop. They have the money to, so they're probably looking at the 800, 900 plus range, and there is always going to be buyers, right? Like there's still people that are looking in the 300, 400, but it did scare a lot of people. I think after or during COVID, because they pushed out the agenda for like, look at the rates, like look how much money that you're saving and you're borrowing. Like I think people are so rate conscious now that's all they talk about, versus if you have the money, you have the finances, and you have a secure job, maybe it is time for you. Or, I'm basically helping this family that's expecting to have a baby soon. They're going to want to upsize. So it's people that really need to, or that the people that really have the money to, or like your seasoned investors. And also I was talking to some title companies, and there were so many new investors or flippers that over leveraged in the last 2 years. They're just giving their keys to the bank. They're just like, oh yeah, like we can't make it. Like we're not going to pay you back. Like, just take the house back. And so, I mean, at least that's in Austin, where they're just, over leveraged, and they'll probably never be a flipper again.
Yeah. Well, I think Austin, everything with real estate is local. So, Austin was one of the cities that really got hit when it came to the post pandemic, where now people are not moving there as much, but they're still building a ton of construction out there in Austin, in that area. And people got themselves in a situation where the market did correct a little bit there in Austin, and kind of softened a lot more than maybe the other cities. And these investors that like you said, over leverage themselves, they're like, well, we can't. There's no way that we can either hold on to this property long enough or find a renter that's going to be able to cover what we have invested into this property to keep it. So
right.
If you're a cash investor that's willing to be able to hold out for another 15 years or something like that, you're like money, dude. Like you can go in there, underbid, drop a cash offer, and probably pick up a few properties out there in Austin. But and I think it's the same thing like in Phoenix. There's same thing up in like Idaho, Florida also got in part of that. Usually a lot of the states that really got the influx during COVID are now seeing the negative effects of that too. So
right, it has hit, but I'm still very optimistic. The tech companies are here, and what I mentioned about this is a really great area to foster entrepreneurs. So Samsung is building a plant. I don't know if they're done yet, but Samsung has a huge plant. Tesla's here, Google, Facebook. A lot of people are just from San Francisco, the Silicon Valley. They call Austin the Silicon Hills because they have the really cool like rolling wood hills out here, the trees and pastures. But yeah, like it does suck. It definitely doesn't have the same support as San Diego, because San Diego's a place where everybody wants to retire.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the market isn't. It's definitely. I mean, it's pretty much all over the place. The market isn't moving. It's just it ebbs and flows, just like it has in the past, and you just got to kind of push yourself through it.
Yeah,
don't give up. And in a few years, when rates do, or whenever it does, because we can't really predict when it's going to soften as far as the rates go, but when it does, like there's going to be thousands, millions of people looking to buy homes.
I mean, you have so many people that sold or bought during COVID, and especially the people that bought, they have 2-3% interest rates. Why would they go into an 8% interest rates now? They're just gonna stay wherever the heck they are, just wait until it happens. I've had clients that were able to take advantage of the crazy market, and they sold, but they haven't bought yet. Right. So that's probably what the influx of cash in their bank accounts is.
Yep.
Is people are saying that there's going to be a crash or whatever. Sure, maybe anything could happen, but we're not in the same category as what happened in 2008. There's just not enough inventory. And even if there is, before we bought this home and before we moved in, we looked at a lot of homes in Austin. And the thing about Austin is there's also a lot of older homes, and this is a new build. So why would I spend my money on an older home when I can drive a little bit out and just get a new build that has a less risk of any issues?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, so I don't know. It's tough I feel for people that are out there still looking for homes that didn't pull the trigger back when the rates were 3%, 4%, even 4%. That was still rough, and it's tough to convince people that now is a good time to buy at 7, 8% when they weren't able to be convinced back when it was 3%, 4%. So what do you do? You know,
You can't like,
you can't
and this
convince.
is
And some
you
of these
can't.
people you just can't be convinced. They think this, that, or the other, and they just think have it stuck in their head that you know this and that something's going to happen. And yeah, I mean, so what? So what would happen? Let's run the scenario. What would happen if rates drop tomorrow to 3% or 4%? For those people that don't have cash, for those people that don't have, more than, that 30 to 40% down, like you guys are going to get pushed out of the market.
Right.
You're not going to be able to afford anything because why? Everybody and their mom is going to be back in their market that has been sitting on either other properties or assets that they've been building their equity this whole time, like myself and like you, that can do a home equity line of credit, get the cash out, and put way more down than people that have just been trying to grind and work for this last couple of years.
Yeah.
Not many people have gotten a 40% raise in the last 3 years, but my home value has gone up, that in the last 4 to 5 years, so,
Yeah.
the best time to buy is when you can afford it, regardless
Right.
of what the rates are, regardless of what, the market's doing. Like, if you can afford the
Exactly.
monthly payment and you can do it and still survive, then just do it. If the rates come down, then refinance. It's all about time in the market, not timing the market. So,
Yes. Exactly. Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. And I think when people are trying to start investing in real estate or they get too caught up in the negative media, whatever they have thrown out there, there's so much room for people to say no. Like they're like, no, the rates are going to stop me. No, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough time. Honestly, the hardest part in real estate is just closing on the transaction, like, and finding the home. Like that's it. But people that are real estate investors that have a ton of wealth from real estate, they have the time in the market versus just timing. Especially, I totally agree with what you said. But we should end it there as we've been talking about 48 minutes and I do have to run, but this is a really good first one.
cool. It was good speaking with you, and